I'm not a videographer, but I thought I would put this together to show how I made the dust shield for the standard Dewalt Sliding Miter Saw, including all the glorious mistakes and other issues that I encountered. Hope you enjoy. One of the problems with the Dewalt is in order to get any kind of space to use the saw, you have to generally install it pretty close to the wall. The only way you can do that is to remove the built-in dust collection system, which renders it pretty much a dusty mess to use. I started by measuring the radius of the base so that I could make some sort of thing that would lay on top of the existing curve. The next step was to design the dust collection shield. In this case I used SketchUp, which is something I was very familiar with. I printed it out of black ABS, which is what I had on hand, and unfortunately I didn't use an enclosure, and as you can see from the clip, it split pretty bad. However, it's still pretty useful as a prototype to let me know if it was going to work. With the crack sealed up and it attached to the saw, I cleaned up the saw area pretty good so I could get a feel for what kind of dust it made and tested it out. It worked fairly well, but I thought there was room for improvement, so I would try a second prototype. As you can see, there's a small amount of dust here and there, but on the whole it worked pretty well. The second prototype needed to have two 2.5-inch dust ports, and that was fairly straightforward. The next step was to make some way to connect a 4-inch standard flexible dust line into two 2-inch dust ports. You could buy these, but I figured while I was using the printer I would design and print one so I could have it. You can see I switched over to using Fusion 360 for this print simply because it was getting a little much for what SketchUp could do natively. To solve my ABS printing issues, I went ahead and made a makeshift enclosure for the printer. I'm not proud of it, but it actually worked really well. Temperatures stayed up inside the enclosure. I'm guessing probably somewhere around 90 degrees, and this was in the winter with the heat stove working in the shop. I let it run and printed the part, and it did fairly well. I'm printing on an old TAS 5 printer, which was long ago obsoleted, and I rescued it and rebuilt it, and it works. So here's the next prototype off the printer, and with its union connected to my 4-inch collector, and the test went fairly well. However, when trying to cut a 45, it became obvious that it got in the way, and I was going to have to do yet another prototype. What I hoped was the last prototype moved the 2.5-inch input channels forward to make room for the saw to rotate, and also applied a curve to allow the dust collection still to work, as well as extending the shield out forward. This was printed in PTAG, which is a whole lot less demanding than ABS, and it worked out fairly well. After a grueling 26-hour print job for the larger item, it came out well, and it looks fine right beside its ABS little brother. Of course, there's Django making an appearance, and the next step was to test this one.
You're tearing up.
Mounted to the saw with simple double-stick tape, it worked fantastic and dramatically reduced the amount of dust from the first prototype, and the saw can rotate to 45 degrees in both angles. Hope you find it useful. The STL for this will be available on my website, which I will link to in the description of the video. Thanks for watching.